Hello and welcome everybody. Charlene Burke here. I am the owner and founder of Search by Burke. I want to welcome you to the Grow Alliance networking meeting. It is Tuesday, March 6, 2018, and I am so happy to be here, happy to be with our guest, and the discussion that I'm anticipating will ensue. So just a little bit more. The Grow Alliance networking meeting is set up on purpose to bring professionals, be they business owners, sales professionals, freelancers, together so that they can grow their network and grow their business. If you're watching the recording, I encourage you to go to thegrowalliance.com/networking and register so that you receive the notification emails that include a link to the meeting room. Now today, the topic for discussion is how to get it done. The guest that I have with us, who is going to tell us how to get it done, is Chuck Bartok. He affectionately says, "I'm self-employed and loving it." I will go a little further and tell you that I have thoroughly enjoyed getting to know him the last few years. He is an accomplished businessman. He fully understands the mindset of being a business owner. And above all else that I have seen him in action is his primary principle of being here is to be of service to others and to help them solve the problems that they have today. The way this is going to work is I'll stop sharing my screen shortly, and then we'll introduce ourselves and turn the meeting over to Chuck so he can tell us how to get it done. So I've stopped sharing my screen, and I'd like to ask Lisa to introduce yourself to the recording, to our listeners, and to us here.
Well, Charlene, thank you for inviting me to also participate and be part of your group. I absolutely encourage anyone who is not in the Grow Alliance networking group to please do so. I've met some very wonderful people. I am a leadership and a mindset coach. I also happen to be a prophetic advisor. So if you're blocked and you're stuck, reach out to me and I will help you remove those blocks. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for being here, Lisa. And now, Mr. Chuck Bartok, I am going to turn this over to you so that you can share with us how to get it done. All yours.
Well, thank you, Charlene, and I am overwhelmed because this has been a while since we did this. We did have fun on Blab, and I'm still not real comfortable on the video side of life, but I'm going to do my best. So anyway, you asked, I really am honored that you asked me to come on today and you asked for a topic. And I said, well, get her done or get it done. And that's something that my father instilled in me as a young person. And my teachers did also through grammar school and high school and college. In the past, we've discussed the fact that I must have been educated by a bunch of weirdos because they emphasize that we never accept what they say as being true and that we question everything that they told us from kindergarten all the way through senior and university. I don't know if those people, I know most of my teachers are now deceased, but it just seemed to flow through. Now, everybody didn't have that same experience, I know. So when I went to school, first kid to graduate high school, then I went off to university. I had saved my money through high school to be there. And my dad told me, you got to listen to these really intelligent people. And one of my first assignments was a book that Charlene's very familiar with. It was called Think and Grow Rich, along with Charles Haanel's The Master Key and Orison Swett Marden, who started the whole stuff in 1880. The Miracle of Right Thought. Quickly, what happened was I read Think and Grow Rich with the background of Haanel and Marden, and dumb 17-year-old kid sitting there said, well, this is easy. All you have to do is follow the instructions. It was like building a model airplane. I also was enamored with HO railroads when I was a teenager, and we built a huge, almost a full garage, from scratch. No kit stuff, all the little buildings and all that. And you got it done. But first you had a plan. And you had a written plan. It didn't matter if it was 1 page or a half a page or 10 pages, depending on the project. You read the plan. You also shared it with people close to you. In my case, it was my roommate in college. I didn't know him before college. He didn't know me. Then you get it done by saying, this is what I'm doing. Not I hope to do this, or I'm going to try to do this. I get it done by taking the first step. And the first step is putting your plan into action and focusing the amount of time and energy that you have put into your plan each and every subsequent day. Now, as a student, you have other responsibilities. You got to go to class, you have assignments, you have to take care of that. But this whole thing intrigued me, so I wanted to be involved right now. So we started a little thing in college, and we allocated a certain amount of time to that, and that evolved into a larger enterprise junior and senior year, which is still in business today. That's been a while. I'm not involved. I sold in 1967, I think it was. But anyway, getting it done is nothing more than looking in the mirror and saying that you will live up to the promise that you made to yourself. Not to Charlene, not to my parents, not to my girlfriend, but the promise that I made to myself. And if you can look in the mirror every morning when you wake up and say, I am successful, I am doing this, I am studying, not that I want to study, not that I'm trying to study, not that I hope I'm going to study, I do it. And if all of us do this, regardless the project, from the smallest project to the most monumental, it will get done. Will it get done smoothly? Well, sometimes not. But it will get done as long as you apply the action necessary to fulfill the plan that you wrote and the promise you made to yourself. And of course, as we get older and as we go into business on a larger scale, we end up probably having to include other people. And that's part of life too. As we get older, men might meet women, golly Moses, and some of us may choose to spend the rest of our life with a woman. And that's just like a business plan. You got to write the damn plan. And you got to make a promise to yourself that you're going to follow through with the plan. Is it easy? Is it always a smooth road? No, absolutely no. We know that to be true. Have we had bumps in the road? Yes. And actually, it was kind of a sidelight. I am 40 years now into my second marriage. And my first marriage was, obviously at the time, was a good thing. And as time went on, I got married to have a family, and my wife wasn't, as we found out, wasn't too interested in that. She was more career-oriented, you might say, and liked a lot of money, which never impressed me. So obviously we drifted apart. I did adopt her son, and she wanted a different lifestyle. And I was very conflicted because I made a promise, right? And I had to seek advice, and the advice was it would probably be best if we did go our separate ways, which we did. The boy moved up north with me. We started farming, and and then I met Shirley, and the rest is history. So, but again, I want to emphasize, I did make a promise. I had a business plan. I use that word, business plan. I had a plan of action, what we were going to do as a couple on the first marriage. And we did hit some bumps in the road. Now, you can't beat yourself up because of those bumps in the road or the roadblocks. They're gone. They're over with. Was there any animosity? No. I mean, we can't belabor or waste our time wondering what if, because it's totally irrelevant for tomorrow. So how does the day go? Charlene and I were talking about schedules and calendars. Today is my bowling day, by the way, at 10 o'clock Pacific time. It's now 10:20, and obviously I'm not bowling with my old farts team. I'm here talking to two lovely ladies. So I never had to, in the past, have calendars because I got so excited every morning to do what I had written down the night before. That's not a calendar. I have 2 projects only each day. The rest is routine. That has to be done, like, eat, brush your teeth, say hello, kiss your wife, and all that good stuff. But lately, in the last few years, my retentive aspects have been diminished. A massive coronary in 2004 didn't help because I was gone for a while, and coming back is a different thing. So I did put this call on the calendar, except when I said yes to Charlene, I didn't have on the calendar that Tuesday's bowling day. Because, see, that used to be top of mind awareness. But it's not top of mind awareness anymore. Does that make sense? I hope it does to everybody. Get it done. I challenge those listening today, tomorrow, and in the future. Please write it down. I know I just said I don't have a calendar. Write down your plan of action, especially if you're new into a new project or something new. Charlene made a big step from Search to Berg to what she's doing now. And I know because of her propensity to like Napoleon Hill and some of the other old men, she did, she doesn't have to tell us, she did have a plan of action. I'm sure she wrote it down, and she keeps it in front of her so that she knows the guide, the roadmap. But I know that Charlene applies massive action because this very same call she had in her mind back several months ago, and it has evolved into reality. Where it goes is irrelevant. She has just achieved a high level of success because she implemented a concept she had and applied action and got it done. But it's not done, but you got it done. So I don't know where the time is. We're probably running out right now, and I can duplicate this over and over again. But life is not difficult, and it's not complicated. It never has been. What we have allowed is we have allowed society to interfere in our thought processes and make it complicated. My life is no more complicated today than it was when I was 13, 14, 8, 9, 10, or 25. It's not any more complicated because I don't allow it to be complicated. I don't allow outside pressure to affect my daily activity and results. Because if the results don't happen, it's nobody else's fault but my own, and all I have to do is a better job tomorrow. It's real simple. Nobody fails. You just do it better tomorrow. Just like learning to play the piano, the guitar, or golf, or in Charlene's case, shooting pool. So, I don't know. Have you had enough?
I've had enough. All right. Oh, Chuck, you're adorable. I have to tell you that what I loved about what you said was that it really is simple. Yes, I wrote down what I wanted for the Grow Alliance, and I knew that a portion of it was this monthly meeting, the gathering of professionals, that be it 2 or 20 or 50. What I know to be true is that when we gather like this, we all grow from the experience, we expand our network, and we have an opportunity to connect afterwards with each other to deepen whatever it was that started here, to get the relationship going, hence grow our business that way as well. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you. What do you say to that? Lisa, if you have any questions, throw them out at Chuck, please.
I took notes. I've got,
Oh, no.
I got a lot of good notes here that I took, and I will follow up with Chuck after this.
Well, thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Lots of information, lots of nuggets, Chuck. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, what's interesting is you have the value of hindsight, right? You've accomplished a lot through your life. I'm wondering if there was a tactic or something that you brought to mind quickly, or even needed to, if you ever came across the times when the overwhelm happened, when you wondered if you really were on the right track. Is this the direction you gave a great example with the first marriage. I'm wondering if it also applied in business, and what you did. What did you do? What was available to you to help you to make the decisions you needed to make?
Well, I have a scientific background in school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a graduate life scientist. I have several hours. I never got the advanced degrees because I was too busy with the business. And why would I accept a position at Scripps Institute of Oceanography when I was making twice as much as any professor there, even though I loved the field? Don't misunderstand me. And my business was related to that. It was in ecology. So what you asked the question, we hit that bump in the road. Mm-hmm. What do we do? Well, what I was taught scientifically, as you were, is you research alternatives. So you can fall back. You can take the deep breath and say, this isn't working. Let's use farming as an example. When I went to the Coachella Valley after I graduated, we had the business going, and I was spread between Mexico and Imperial Valley, Coachella Valley, and Orange County. I really wanted to farm. Now, that was stupid because I had a good business, and farming is not the business to be in unless you enjoy spending millions of dollars foolishly. But I loved it, okay? So I wanted to farm, so I wanted to grow a crop. So I researched what is the quickest way to have cash flow. So I chose a crop, radishes, 28 days. I went over to my neighbors and researched how they planted them. And I planted 10 acres. And it was kind of a successful 28 days later, I had a harvested crop and I had a return on my investment, okay? And the return on my investment was higher than the amount of money I put in. Doesn't matter how much, could have been $5, it's irrelevant. It was a positive thing. But then I fell back and I said, now wait a minute, if I continue doing this, I'm really not going anywhere. So why don't I fall back, study the radish in a bit more detail, and maybe change the cultural practice on how I plant radishes. So you understand, I fell back, okay? I didn't fail at growing radishes the first time, but it wasn't that good. So I changed the cultural practice, which obviously became worldwide cultural practice, and I increased my yield 1,000 dozen bunches an acre. Now, I don't know if you guys know the bunch of radishes is about 12 radishes. And the unit that we use in the radish business are dozen bunches, because there's 4 dozen bunches to a box of fresh radishes.
Okay.
And everybody else was getting 2,500 dozen to the acre. I was getting to 3,500, 3,700, 3,800. So it was irrelevant what the price was. As long as the price was more than the growing cost, I made more money.
Okay.
But I had to fall back, take a deep breath, research what are the alternatives, and then apply massive action to that. Okay, so all the bumps in the road, and I've made a bunch of them. I've lost the farm. I don't want to have to go into history. We were homeless. Okay, Shirley's pregnant with number 2, and I adopted her too. And we had a bad year. I lost all my wheat. Not because of my error, but we had a weather problem. So again, what do? You fall back. What can I do next year to lessen that risk? So, but you don't beat yourself, because it wasn't my fault.
Right.
It wasn't my fault. I just didn't plan well enough. So you plan better next time. You don't beat yourself up. You don't take the cat of 9 tails.
Right. But what you're saying is that when you fall back, you recognize that, well, I didn't research that quite enough.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's research it a little bit more and now move forward in a direction either with a different crop or just a little bit of extra that might be involved with wheat
Right.
that you didn't do before as a protectionary thing. Okay. So another question I have is, did you intentionally surround yourself with successful people, or did you kind of naturally fall into those kind of friendships? And then turns out, looking back, that you made use of that circle that you had.
I love that question, because there's an absolute truism. You are plus or minus 5 degrees, all these wonderful psychological things, you know. Your income is plus or minus 10, 15,000 of the people you hang with. I was fortunate, as I mentioned before. I had a set of parents. My father was an electrician. We're immigrants, you know. We were the dumb people living in South Chicago, okay? We were not the elite Harvard graduates. But I was surrounded by extremely wise people who exhibited common sense. So obviously I was attracted to, all my life, people of common sense, not necessarily people of sociological stature. Now, because of that, I got to share this. I was in the produce business in Palm Springs when I was farming in Coachella Valley. I delivered produce. We had all the restaurants. You couldn't buy produce from anybody else but us, okay? That was a law. Well, it wasn't a law, but we made sure it was. So there was a little Jewish deli on Palm Canyon Drive called Jimmy's. And this place was like 15 feet wide, counter, seats, and 3 booths. And Jimmy cooked in the kitchen. And the corned beef hash you ordered came up the dumbwaiter, and his wife served it to you. Well, Jimmy liked me. I was in my early 20s, mid-20s. And Jimmy was an elderly gentleman. And he said, Chuck, I want you to spend time with my friends. So I was invited into a stock club. A group of gentlemen who do not believe in stockbrokers. And they met every morning in Jimmy's Deli, read newspapers, did research, and decided what was going to be bought that day or sold. And they invited me in. Leonard Firestone Jr., Lester Seelig, the founder of Union Tank Car back in 1918. Okay, everybody's deceased now. And I have to share this because this is one of the greatest pearls I remember. We would research what we're going to buy today in Palm Springs. We'd go out and buy a lot of shares, not me. I'd buy 100 shares. Lester would buy 1,000 or 10,000. Okay, because it's relative how much money you have. Our rule was we keep the stock till it doubles and we sell half, and then we don't care. We just throw the rest, we throw the other half in the safe because who cares? I don't care if it goes up or down. It's irrelevant. I pulled my half out. So we had an issue. In fact, I still have this stock. But anyway, that's a long time. Anyway, I kind of got, I was young, and we had a good lick. We bought it 75 cents. It went up to $1.97 and eventually went to $2.25 in a hurry. I'm talking a matter of days because Palm Springs is a market. So all of a sudden stockbrokers start saying, oh, everybody's got to buy this because insider says this. Okay, so stock had no difference in value. It's just that we bought it. Okay, that's not manipulation. It's not manipulation. So anyway, they sold 10,000 shares. I sold 1,000. Obviously, there was a big difference in the money, right? And I kind of said, well, this is fun, but, you guys are making more money. And Mr. Seelig said, son, let me tell you something. We both made the same amount of money. We both made exactly the same amount of money. You doubled your money and I doubled my money. Now, if you want that pile to be bigger, then you make a decision to put more in. But we made this because he was a percentage person. And that's what nobody teaches today. On the streets of Chicago, my dad introduced me to a man who became a garment big shot. He would buy a dress for 50 cents, go out on the street, which you could do in those days, and sell it to somebody passing by for $1. 50 cents, $1. He then went and bought another dress for 50 cents and sold it for $1. Then he went and bought 2 dresses for $1, still had the other $1 in his pocket, and he went home every night and gave his wife money. Because he always had more money than he started with, and the next day he went back to 50 cents. He was a percentage player, and you know that in the pool business. Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, percentage odds of hitting the ball in and everything else. So I don't know if I answered your question, but those 2 stories are just dear to my heart. But who did I surround myself with? I surrounded myself with people not looking at them as to who they were, but how much common sense did I see emanating from them? Farming.
Okay, so really, this is what I hear. You're going about your daily business and you attract the attention of somebody, Jimmy, who sees who you are as a man. Not the business that you have, not the amount of money that you have, not the, you're a farmer, for goodness sake, so you're not wearing the sex.
No, I'm a produce peddler, right? Yeah.
You know, you got the pickup truck in the back kind of thing, right? He saw you as a man and saw you as a man of confidence and a man of integrity. So he got to know you, and as you said, he liked you. So he invited you into his circle.
Right.
Then you were doing day trading before we had computers.
That's right. Absolutely. 1966, 1965, you know.
But always with the thought that it isn't about making the $10,000. It isn't about making the $100,000. It is about making, I decided I'm going in, and when I double, I will take out, then I'll set aside so that I'm always playing with the same amount of money moving forward. And that extra is being reinvested into my side venture, which is my life.
Right.
This is what I heard.
You got it. No, you got it. You got it. You got it.
And moving forward, you were attracting other people into your life that you wanted those kind of people in your life. They were people of integrity. They were people of character. They were people who based their decisions on the here and now, and not speculation of what's going to happen 10 days from now, 100 days from now. But I've got $1, I can go buy a dress, and I know I can go right out to the corner and resell it. And again, the same principle applied, that I only work with the money. It's like what I go to a casino, which I don't ever do, but when I did,
it's okay to go to
play with my winnings. I only play with my winnings.
Yeah.
That's so. What I heard in there, I don't know if anybody else heard this, and Lisa, you're going to have to jump in. I don't know if you heard this. I'd love to know what you heard. I heard law of attraction at work. I heard a level of integrity that was based on self-knowledge and self-awareness, practicality, persistence, consistency, and focus on this is who I am, what I want to do. And along the way, I meet some really great people who are going to be helping me to move forward, but that's not why you brought them in.
No.
You brought them in because they were pretty nice guys.
That's right.
And it turns out that they were able to help you to move forward.
And what we do today is because, and you've heard me say this before, when I read Hill and they mentioned definite major purpose, I wrote mine down. I know everybody else changes mine. Mine have never changed. My definite major purpose has been in front of me for 50-some years. My definite major purpose is Chuck Bartok will live a life of autonomy and help others. That's it. That's the only plan of action of life I have. So I have to do everything to live up to my promise to live an autonomous life, meaning that I'm unfettered by social stricture. And that allows me to spend a heck of a lot of time helping others. So, I mean, what else can, now that's my definition. I'm not saying that should be Lisa's. I'm not saying that should be Charlene's. That was my definite purpose, major purpose, and that's what I wrote down in 1960, 58 years ago.
I would like to add one of my big takeaways in what you shared today, and it struck me, my aha moment was when he explained that you both made the same amount of money selling the stocks.
Yes.
You made the same dollar for dollar, the same amount of money. That was huge for me. That was my big takeaway.
Good.
And it applies for me in an area of my life going forward that I know I'm going to apply this change. And that was my golden nugget. So thank you.
I'm glad that it impacted, because it really hit me, and I understood what he was saying to me even back then.
Yeah.
Because I guess my dad kind of, again, was Lester Seelig like my dad? Yes. My dad was younger, but they were common sense, down to earth people. Leonard Firestone Jr. was born in the lap of luxury, but he eschewed all that. He liked to sit in Jimmy's Deli and have a corned beef and hash that Jimmy ground downstairs every morning.
See, Chuck, those are the kind of wealthy people that I know.
Yeah,
they're the ones they're the ones you have a cup of coffee with, and the things that come out of their mouth are pretty well grounded.
Mm-hmm.
They've worked hard.
Mm-hmm.
They're very focused on they know who they are. They know what they're in the world to do. This is what I do, and when I'm able to, I'll help somebody. But I won't. It's interesting. The people I tend to surround myself with are the ones they will give you the shirt off their back.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
If you've shown an indication that you're willing to do something yourself. They're not the type, they will walk right by somebody who is a taker.
Mm-hmm.
And if it looks like you're struggling and you've really done as well as best you can, you're trying, you're wanting to improve yourself, you're wanting to improve your life, you're just hitting wall after wall after wall, they're right there.
Mm-hmm.
Or if things happen in the life. I've watched them come together and said, all right, we need a pile of money in the middle of the table here because there's somebody down the road that needs our help, or somebody in our circle needs our help. They'll be the first ones to do it.
Right.
But it's because we see that somebody's actually putting forth the effort. Somebody who just asks for a handout, we're not real big on.
This is one thing I'll probably be crucified for this. I've not been able to wrap myself around GoFundMe. The public of GoFundMe. I know that it's done a lot of good for a lot of people, but I just can't. Anyway. Does anybody know why I feel that way?
I'm not going to go. That's a private conversation, Chuck.
Okay.
But I understand the hesitation.
Mm-hmm.
We'll put it that way. I understand.
Okay.
Let's see here. Another thing is that what was striking me as you were sharing was the simplicity. Just because something's simple doesn't mean it's easy.
No.
And the how to get it done, it sounds so simple that, well, the night before I put down that I have these 2 projects in addition to my regular daily life, and that's what my focus is going to be. And the reality is that when I come up to do anything with those 2 projects, technology will fail me, people will up and fail me. Right? This is what goes through the mind after about the 5th time of struggling that day to get something done, because suddenly it's just I'm to the point sometimes where I just decided I'm blaming the moon. It's all I can do. I don't have a dog, so I'm going to blame the moon. But that's just a simple little, not even a speed bump. That's just all right. Let's just take a breath and I'm going to go for a walk.
Thank you. That's fantastic.
Is life or death? No. The reality is it's not life or death. It'd be nice if it could work smoothly right now. It's not. Let's just go take a walk. Let's not take things so darn seriously. It's the other thing I was getting from what you were saying.
Right. We woke up the other day, no internet. We have a local internet provider. It's just local for our small town. The couple are wonderful and they're good friends of mine. No internet. So I called the office. Nobody answered the phone. And minutes go by and it's like 4:30 our time here. Okay. So, gosh, what am I going to do? I got this, but I got all the stuff Jim and I are doing. And so I keep calling, no answer. So I tell Shirley about 8:30, I said, I'm going to go to town. And it was 6 miles. And she says, why? I says, well, I'm going to go see if there's something wrong down at DM Tech. Maybe they burned down. You know, they're not answering the phone. So I went in and everybody was in the office and they said, yes, our provider down in Sacramento, a construction company cut their humongous cable. You know, when's it going to be fixed? Well, we don't know. And I said, well, thank God you guys are alive. That, you know, because I said, oh, by the way, remember when you told me I should, to save a lot of money, go onto this internet telephone stuff? I said, this is a perfect reason why, as a business person, I will never go and put my telephone on the internet. Because my telephone, and I have a hardwired line, you know, the phone that doesn't need electricity, because you're in our brick and mortar stores always had that. I mean, cell phones are great. I'm not knocking technology. But I was a customer of this company, and I was very concerned because they didn't answer the phone. The reason they didn't answer the phone is the whole system was on the internet. So you know how I feel about the internet.
Well, it's not just the internet. What you're explaining is that every tool, this is what I heard. Every tool that I have at my disposal and I choose to use now, I need to be conscious of the fact of what happens when I don't have that tool.
Right.
So while I have access to the internet now, if it goes down, my business does not stop. I have a landline. I have a cell phone. If everything stops at the house, I pick up my laptop and I go to the library.
Right.
Perfect second office, by the way. You don't have to have a coffee shop, people. You have
there you go.
Free internet.
And it's a lot cheaper, a lot less expensive.
And you can get a book. You can get a real book and read.
Right.
But I can go other places. That's what I like about the internet, is that the tools that I use, I'm not strapped to any single one of them, even my laptop, because I have backups that I can just take my hard drive.
Right, there it is.
There's my, there's part of my business, and trust me, there's another one around. So, but it's being conscious of really what tools do I need to use for my business, and what will happen if this tool is gone. So that what's the backup? There's always the backup. That's part of owning a business to me. I could be wrong, but that's what I heard.
What I did, and you're absolutely correct, what I didn't finish was internet was gone all day.
Yeah.
I called Jim and said, don't bother me because I don't have any internet. So we can't exchange. We can't do this. We can't do that. So I turned around and said, well, honey, where do you want to go? So we left Dodge. Who cares?
Well, and then there's all right, today's a great day for a road trip.
Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? We went to Walmart.
All right, Dave. Hidden age. So anyway, Lisa, did you have any last comments or questions?
Well, the other nugget I had earlier I didn't talk about, Chuck, is you talk about doing affirmations in front of the mirror. And Charlene will tell you I am such a big advocate that I went and got a trademark on the words mirror love.
Very good.
I teach my clients that technique of that's your best friend, that's your CEO looking back at you every morning. And what you say to yourself, your best friend, your CEO, that's exactly, you will take those actionable steps. So I just want to give you a big cyber hug for
Thank you. I appreciate that. And that promise to ourselves is the most important.
It is.
Because we can never give that which we don't own.
Yes.
You can't give money to people if you don't have any. Okay. You can't get love to anybody if you don't love yourself. And this is something that really gets into huge conversations with people because they don't understand really what we're talking about. Well, what do you mean? You love yourself? Yes. Yeah. And I can't love my children unless I love myself.
Yeah. And it's not about the ego love. I tell people it's not the magic mirror vanity love. This is love. However you believe you got here, God, Buddha, flying dragon, it doesn't matter. But that's who you're looking at, your reflection of the universe and who put you here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's often said that you cannot give that which you don't have. So if your own house is not in order, don't try to help somebody else get their house in order. Right?
I agree with that. Yes.
All right, so let's bring this to a close. Chuck, I would like you to share on the recording here, how can people reach you? Where can they find you online? How can they reach you in order to get to know you, connect with you?
Well, there's always Google, which is interesting because I was online and Jim and I had been separated for several reasons, which we, government always gets in the way. But anyway, I get a phone call one day several years ago. I recognized the voice. I hired him in 1970. And, I says, I had an unlisted number at the time. Okay. And I said, how did you find me? And he says, well, have you ever Googled your name? I said, no. He said, well, do that. So if anybody, it's Bartok, Chuck. But I can be reached more directly via my cell phone, which I don't answer because I have very poor service on the river. Okay. But it is 530-798-0245. If I don't answer it, it's because I didn't hear it, but I will check it the next time I'm, near a cell tower. And then the other way is my email is very easy. It's my name @gmail.com. Facebook is Chuck Bartok and Twitter is Chuck Bartok. But what I've enjoyed about Facebook is that it has allowed me to speak with an awful lot of people, because if there's a gravitation there, I go on the messenger and say, why don't you give me a call? Give me a call. I didn't ask for their number. I said, give me a call. Here's my phone number. People say, what do you mean?
That a lot. I keep waiting for you to call me, but you just Charlene, give me a call. Charlene, give me a call. Okay, I'll call you. One of these, maybe that's when I know I'll really have made it. Chuck called me.
Well, do I have your phone number?
Oh, well.
that helps. No, but anyway, that's, I'm not selling anything right now except books. Mm-hmm. And my name is not on the books, but that's okay. And we are very pleased with a website that started 2 years ago and has had over 1,400,000 page reads in the last couple of years.
I love that.
That's James Strauss, 2 S's in the middle, 2 S's at the end.com. The new book, the anthology, all the short stories that are in the anthology are there to read. All of our books are there to read for free to anybody that wants them. But we enjoy seeing books being sold through all venues every day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. So somebody likes them.
Yeah, good stuff. It's good
thank
stuff.
you. Thank you.
James is it is. It's powerful.
His writing ability is. I knew that when I hired him. See, I'm a good judge of character.
There you go. That's our Chuck. Yeah. All right. Any last words, Lisa? Because we're going to go ahead and shut this down.
No, I just appreciate, Chuck, all the information that you shared with us. I've taken lots of notes. Definitely.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you very much.
So I want to thank you both for joining me on today's every first Tuesday of the month. We gather the Grow Alliance networking meeting to grow our network and grow our business. I hope those who are watching the recording register and join us next month when we have another fabulous presenter, an interesting discussion about something that's related to being a better business person. So according to what was discussed today, I ask each and every one of you to take a breath, take a step back, and ask yourself, how can I get it done? And then go do it. All right, until next time, have a great day.